It is the morning sports desk for Wednesday, March 13th. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. Corey, state girls basketball tonight on the Superstation K106. Also streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 app. State girls basketball quarterfinal action from the Barn, Williams Arena, Minneapolis. It is going to be a good one. Perham, the random draw, they had to face the number 1 seed, Providence Academy, of course, featuring Madden Greenway, of course, featuring one of the daughters of Adrian Peterson. And just overall, I think in our interview with Coach Super that you can check out of Perham, he mentioned 4 of those girls have D1 offers or something along those lines of just a very, very talented basketball team. One that is, make a case for Albany being number 1 because they beat him in the head-to-head, but also that is a very, very strong team in Providence Academy. In just what you've heard about this game, Corey, it's got a 5:45 pregame, 6 o'clock tip-off on the Superstation. What's kind of the vibe you're getting from this game? What do you think in that gut level analysis of this game?
I think the big thing that comes, in my opinion, from state girls basketball, just in general this year, it applies to this game. But it applies to the 2A tournament as a whole. There's an unbelievable number of marquee players in the state. They are, generally speaking, in this 2A tournament, and 2 of those players are featured in this game. The highlight of this game is obviously 2 very good basketball teams, but at the exact same time, in one arena, you're going to get to see Madden Greenway for Providence Academy, and you're going to get to see Willow Thiel from Perham. And Coach Super talked about it. Maybe not as many people know about Willow as they should. She's an outstanding basketball player. We all know Madden's resume at this point. This basketball is a team game, but it's a team game full of individuals. And these individuals just so happen to be stellar at the game of basketball. And then, of course, the late game will feature Tori Orline and in this 2A tournament. It's just that, to me, is what stands out is in the mix of a team matchup and a team game. We're going to get to see a couple of individuals hopefully play their best on the absolute biggest stage, because that's what it's all about. It's a tall task for the Yellow Jackets. I think that's very straightforward. Coach Super talked about being upset over there about how the seedings worked itself out. And in their defense, I think there's a huge argument to where maybe they should have been seeded. But also, you want to be seated so you don't have to play Providence Academy. Because it's such a tall task to go up against the defending champs with everybody back. I'm looking forward.
Champs.
I don't think that's right. Is it?
Albany won the state title last year, I think.
Then you're probably, then yes.
But they went to the title game. They're in the title game.
That's what it is. Anyway, it's just going to be cool. Like, it's the biggest stage of the season for the best players in the state. The best players in the state don't always make a state tournament, and now they're there. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's the too long didn't read version.
To be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's what Perham is going to have to do. And like you talked about, obviously, Perham got an unfortunate draw. There's a good case to be made that they should have been seeded. They were 26-3 on the season. They had one loss to Minnehaha Academy, who's ranked 3rd in the state tournament right now, and then they had 2 losses to Barnesville that ultimately, I'm going to guess, is what held against them, even though Barnesville was a tough team and a good obviously not into the state tournament. They beat them in the semifinals, did Perham, but that's their only 3 losses on the season. And that's what probably held them back in this case, because they had some good competition. We talk about all that with Coach Super. Go listen to that on the morning sports desk, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, WadenaRadio.com, Superstation, K106 app. It's all there. Go listen to that preview with Coach Super. He gave some great answers, great insight on his team. But Minnehaha Academy is good. And to they were going to have to play them if they wanted to win the state title anyways. If they wanted to get in, they were going to have to play them. If they got seeded, it probably would have been a 4 or 5, and then they would have had to play them in the second round. So this was always on the table that they were going to have to play them. They're just going to have to do it a round earlier than what they wanted to do. And, like Coach Super talked about in that interview, there's a lot of good players in 2A, and they get a lot of notoriety, and Willow Thiel should be one of them. And that's the thing that we're going to, this is her chance to kind of show everybody why she deserves to be in that conversation. And also, Coach Super in the interview did a good job of talking about how we don't just rely on Willow Thiel either. There's a lot of other players that they have roles for, not just to help her, but to have their own type of play and to make sure that they're not so one-dimensional. And in the game against Pelican in the section final, they proved that because she only had 6 points in the first half and they were winning comfortably in that one against a very good Pelican Rapids team. So, I mean, it'll be a matchup. Obviously, Perham's got their game plan in place. It's, you don't want to say a David versus Goliath matchup because it's a state tournament and everybody's really, really good. But in terms of just kind of the vibe in this, is Providence Academy has been a team that's been talked about for the last 2 basketball seasons nonstop. So they're a good team, deservedly so. And we'll just have to see what happens. I'm working on pulling up Providence Academy's schedule here, but that's pretty much it. I know that there's some other games going on. Obviously, Crosby Ironton playing New London Spicer, I believe, in the game after that at Williams Arena. Albany, the defending state champions, are on the other side of the bracket. Minnehaha Academy's got a good team and trying to pull up. Providence Academy won Section 5AA with a 5-0 record in Section, 25-4 overall. They had a QRF, Corey, of 239.2. Which just means that they played a ton of competition above their class. They played a lot of 3A schools, sometimes even 4A schools. They have wins over Lakeville North. They only lost to Hopkins by 7 points. They beat Minnehaha by 2. So there's some things when you look at the schedule. They beat Crosby Ironton by 18. They beat Alexandria, a 3A school, 94-89. So they have some good wins throughout their schedule. They're a good team. We know that, and that's pretty much the game, but it's going to be a fun one. Obviously, Madden Greenway, the daughter of Chad Greenway, gets a lot of notoriety. Adrian Peterson's daughter is on that team. Her first name escapes me. So
I think
it's a team
Ari.
Ari? Yes. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the game. Listen to it. 5:45 pregame, 6 o'clock tip-off. Could be subject to change depending on how games at the barn go throughout the day, but we'll keep you updated. It won't
start earlier than that. It will likely start a little later than that.
Right. Not too much later, but just enough to where if you tune in right at 5:45 and don't hear the pregame show, just hang around for a little bit. I promise we got some good stuff on there.
Should also mention Alexandria's in the 3A tournament. They play this afternoon at 4 against Rock Ridge. And then the Class A stuff doesn't start till tomorrow. So Walker, Hackensack, Akeley, and Underwood, hold your horses. Tomorrow's your day.
Tomorrow's your day. If Perham loses, they will play on Thursday in the consolation semifinal. That's at Concordia's St. Paul's campus. And if they win, Perham gets the day off and they'll play in the semifinal game on Friday night. So that's how things shake up for that. Corey,
both games 6 o'clock.
Both games 6 o'clock. Corey, speaking of Concordia, let's go up to Moorhead. That's where you got the call tonight.
Yeah, I've got an 8AA semifinal. Wadena Deer Creek versus Park Rapids area. That is the late game at Concordia here tonight, scheduled for a 7:45 tip. So roughly a 7:30 pregame on KWAD. That's 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD. The Wadena Deer Creek Wolverines and Park Rapids area Panthers will meet for the second time in the season. They met for the first time back on December 4th, game number 2 of the year. It was an 81-58 victory for the Panthers in Park Rapids that evening. And I mean, the most simple way to say this, CJ, is both teams are very, very different than they were that many months ago. I don't think there's really any way around that. Both teams playing pretty good basketball here now down at the end of the season as well, which makes a big difference. So that's going to be a fun matchup. So again, that's semifinal number 2 in an 8AA. 7:30 pregame, 7:45 tip on 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD. Also online at wadenaradio.com/KWAD. The first semifinal of the night will be Pelican Rapids, the top seed in the section, versus the 5 seed East Grand Forks. So the Vikings and Green Wave will play that first game tonight. Winner will play Friday night at 7 o'clock back at Concordia for the right to go to the state tournament. So that's section basketball update.
It's wide open in that Section 8AA, which is really fun because East Grand Forks lost to Wadena Deer Creek early in the season. Park Rapids area beat Wadena Deer Creek. Pelican beat the Wolverine. And I'm not sure how their matchup with Park Rapids area went, but the point is you could make a case for all 4 teams earning a trip to the state tournament, and it wouldn't be that hard. It'd be very justifiable. So that's the fun part about that section is you don't know who's going to come out of there, and everybody's kind of vying for it. It'll be a really fun one. So it'll be really be really good to see.
If you want to allow me to work through this, I can tell you how the matchups went. Wadena Deer Creek during the season lost to Park Rapids area 81-58. Beat East Grand Forks 75-60, and lost to Pelican Rapids 79-61. Park Rapids area during the season beat Wadena Deer Creek 81-58, lost to Pelican Rapids 80-43, and beat East Grand Forks 79-73 in overtime. East Grand Forks, well, we know 2 of their updates. They lost to Pelican Rapids 80-73. So there you go. There's a little breakdown of how those teams did against each other during the regular season.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be a lot of fun. Just some other games to note that are going on tonight. Obviously, Staples Motley will play Pequot Lakes in the 7AA semifinal. That one, is that up in Hermantown? Or no, it's at Romano Gymnasium on the UMD college campus up in Duluth.
Ray Romano.
Everybody loves Raymond. That's where they're going to be.
Holy crap.
Henning is going to play Ada Borup at the Hive in Perham. That'll be a
Ada
rematch.
Borup West.
Ada Borup West. Yes, right. Ada Borup West. That game will take place at the Hive in Perham. Those 2 teams actually met there 2 months ago, and Henning won in overtime. So that'll be a fun game again. And am I missing any other? Browerville, Eagle Valley, and Nevis are playing in the 5A West subsection title game at Wadena Deer Creek, 7 o'clock tip-off tonight from the WDC gym. A lot of local basketball tonight, Corey. A lot.
I would like to say one thing about this too. I always feel like I need to get this off of my chest. I love this time of year because there's so much good basketball. And I love that there's all this good basketball. And I love being able to take in all of this good basketball. I also hate from the bottom of my professional heart that when we have all of these good teams that keep playing, that we can't cover all of them. It breaks my heart, and it's the least favorite part about doing all these sports is every single year you just have to kind of like guess on what you can do or what you can't do, and I hate it. So I want everybody to win, so that way we have to make more tough. I would rather make tough decisions than all of a sudden look up at the calendar and be like, well, we're done for the winter. That's way less fun. Keep winning and just know that I hate it. I hate making these decisions at the end of every season like this. So good luck to those teams, and I'm truly really sorry that we can't be there.
Corey's trying his best. That's the thing you need to take away from that. So let's move on to some state sports stuff quick. Kirk Cousins just posted this within the last 10 minutes. It must be a video. I just saw it was retweeted by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. And it's titled "Thank You, Minnesota." So it must be his official goodbye. Props to him for doing it in a video and not some kind of clunky statement. I have not had a chance to watch it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's, it's Kirk Cousins. We know exactly what it is. But, if you were holding out hope that maybe the Vikings at the last second would come in before something became official, not quite. So that's it will become officially announced at like 4:00 today. Or 3:00 this afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about this sort of stuff. I am so out on all of I don't care at all. I don't care at all, Kirk Cousins. Like, congratulations. I'm happy for you and your family and the generations to come of Cousins' family. They're going to be set up for a really long time. I want everybody all the time to get theirs.
Right.
So congratulations. You don't play for my favorite team anymore. I don't care.
It's done.
I don't care. There was a statement, I think from Kwesi that went out about Cousins. Like, it's move on. I don't need it. Every time somebody comes back, like the Timberwolves are going to play a tribute video in the playoffs to Jared Vanderbilt for his season and a half in a Timberwolves uniform. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. And maybe the players do, and they're more important in this than I am. But I'm not watching that Kirk Cousins video. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
No, exactly.
Good luck, dude. I hope you lose to the Vikings in the NFC Championship.
Somebody is going to try and pick the video apart and like say, oh, look at how he said this and it's the same thing of like, he posted it. That was nice of him. But like you said, all in all, it doesn't matter in the game.
It'll be very nice. It'll be very sincere. He, like have talked about, he's the second career-wise. He's the second most prolific quarterback in Vikings history. All is well and good. You know what? He ain't retired yet. He's still playing, and he was going to play for a team who can knock the Vikings out of the playoffs. I don't care. I hope you go 0-18 or 0-17. And if you don't, I hope you lose to the Vikings in the most heartbreaking fashion ever. Career with the Vikings notwithstanding. Screw you, dude. You don't play for my favorite team anymore.
This is a question for another episode, so I'm not trying to get into another thing, but could you make the case of Kirk Cousins being in the Vikings Ring of Honor in like 10, 15 years? That'll be a question I'll
answer that. We don't have to hold on to it. Yes, 100%.
So there you go. And we can dive deeper into that later when we got, once the free agency stuff kind of dies away. But the Vikings have been pretty quiet now after the first wave of free agency, kind of waiting for the second wave of stuff to happen. One other interesting thing of note, Bo Nix, the quarterback out of Oregon, had his pro day yesterday. And there was neither Kevin O'Connell nor Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah at the pro day, which maybe leads you to be skeptical. Like, well, does that mean that they don't even like Bo Nix at all? And then somebody, I believe it was Diana Rossini of The Athletic, put something out that said, basically on that, poured cold water over that theory of, don't worry, some teams don't really hold stock into pro days because they do private workouts with the quarterback and they can have one-on-one conversations. So don't read too much into the fact that Kwesi or KOC were not at Bo Nix's pro day. He still could very much be in play, or maybe he's not. I don't know, and you don't know, and we'll know come April. Anyway, one last thing that we'll finish up the sports desk on, Corey. Today, the Timberwolves played at Los Angeles last night. They lost to the Lakers on Sunday, and it was like, well, that's not ideal, but whatever. Gobert didn't play, and the reason Gobert didn't play on Sunday night was the fact of you wanted him ready when he was going to play against the Clippers because they're chasing you in the West. It's a much more important victory to get. And Gobert played, although you didn't have Morris, you don't have Cat, obviously. Kyle Anderson was back in the lineup, but the Clippers came out and absolutely boat raced the Timberwolves for a good quarter and a half of basketball. The Clippers had a 22-point lead, and then Kawhi Leonard went out of the game with back spasms. He left the arena like he was hurt. And the Timberwolves took advantage, and they outscored them by like 40 points the rest of the way because the Timberwolves got a 118-100 win. Corey, the Timberwolves gave up 68 points in the first half, And the defense turned it on in the second half, and they held the Clippers to just 100 total points in the ball game. Anthony Edwards had 36. Conley had about, I think, 20, 23 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 26. And that was their first win where they had a 22-point comeback or more since 2012. So that was a big boy win on the road at the, I know it's whatever, but at the Staples Center for the Timberwolves. Nationally televised game on TNT, even though it was the nightcap. Give me your morning of thoughts.
I think you said everything. It's just a nice win. It shows how important Kawhi is to that team. It's also the volatility of the Clippers because they are mere moments away from not even making the playoffs, because if Paul George clips something in the next 24 hours, they're just done for. Like, that's how important Kawhi is to them and how good Kawhi has been this year. When he's on the floor, they are dominant and one of the best teams in the West. And when he isn't, they are a minus 40 as a team. Yeah, what else is there to say? That's just a nice team. Good, persistent stick-to-itiveness, sort of like the game isn't over till it's over sort of situation. I don't know. It's a good March 12th victory for the Timberwolves.
It's nice. Anthony Edwards, of course, turned things on in that second part of the second half, and like things just completely changed in that ball game. There was a defensive possession by Anthony Edwards where he went one-on-one with Paul George and poked the basketball away. Nas got a steal, or Nas got the ball, and Anthony Edwards on the other end was able to go and transition in a 3-on-1 and score. And from that point in the game, you just felt like for the Clippers, it was done. That fourth quarter was not even a contest. The Wolves walk right in. And that's a game that the Wolves lose a lot of times because they didn't have Karl Anthony Towns. And honestly, you could have made the case the way that they played that, yikes, Cat's very important to what they do because they are just out of sync right now. They're getting killed on the boards. Naz Reid rolled his ankle in the first quarter, so he didn't really have like a great game. He didn't shoot a lot. Just it was bugging him, but he kind of played through it. The Anthony Edwards, again, he'll pop up and have these 36-point games. He had the 40-some point game against Indiana, and then in Cleveland, laid an egg. And then, had a nice game against the Lakers. Now a really, really nice game against the Clippers. They have 4 days off. They play Saturday night in Utah, and they play the Jazz again in Utah. So, like, they have a couple days now. They have a couple games in a row to kind of get some things back on track, which is really nice for them. But ultimately, Anthony Edwards is capable of popping up and having these ginormous games, and we're asking him to grow up early, so it's not all his fault if this doesn't come together. But can Anthony Edwards string together multiple games of greatness? And that'll be the question.
It doesn't have to be every night where he does this, but every night does need to now be more than his season average.
He needs to raise his floor.
At least for the next month. The Towns surgery was successful. They reevaluate in 4 weeks, which is, by the way, never good. Reevaluating in 4 weeks. It's what is the thing you want to hear is he'll be back in 4 weeks. What it means is in 4 weeks, they'll tell you how long it's going to be.
Right.
So it's going to be, it's going to be June probably at the earliest before we see Karl again. So in the meantime, yes, Anthony needs to raise his floor. If he was averaging, I don't know what his season average is, but if it was 22, it needs to be 25. If it was 25, it needs to be 28. It's just gotta be night in, night out. So that way you can compete in that Lakers game rather than have it get weird at the end. It shouldn't require a Herculean effort from him to win these games.
Right.
But it should require a pretty nice effort. Like a better than average effort is probably what it's going to take when Karl's not playing.
Exactly. This has been the Morning Sports Desk for Wednesday, March 13th.